Hi everyone, thank you very much for joining us today at the Elcom version 11 webinar, Take Your Digital Workplace and Portal to New Heights. We're really excited to have everyone with us today and to be showcasing Elcom version 11 and some of the fantastic digital workplace and portal capabilities that we are releasing. My name is Josh Ansey, I'm the Customer Solutions Director at Elcom, and I'm joined here by Tracy Schneider, our Software Development Director and the guru behind version 11. We have a really exciting jam-packed agenda today. So this is a high-level overview of the agenda. In terms of how we're going to be running the webinar, I'll be giving an overview of the different features, the functionality, and some of the enhancements we've made in version 11, as well as the benefits. And then I'll hand over to Tracy, who will give you a demo of the features and functionality and enhancements in action, and also talk about some of the use cases. Before we do jump into it, just a quick introduction about Elcom for those that have joined us today and are new to Elcom. We are a digital transformation and digital workplace platform that enables you to deliver engaging experiences to internal users such as staff and external users that are prospects and existing customers, as well as your partners. The Elcom platform makes it easy for you to manage and power your digital workplaces, intranet, websites, marketing personalization, portals, collaboration and social, online training and e-learning, as well as mobile solutions. We provide end-to-end services from requirements analysis, design, implementation, development, integration, training, support, account management, and hosting. So we're really here to partner with you and help ensure your digital success. Today, we're going to be giving you the overview of Elcom version 11. So let's jump straight into it. The first area we're going to talk about is reporting. So for those asking the question and wondering what reporting do we provide, there are a range of reports in Elcom, including publishing reports, security and user reports, custom reports, and those reports can be viewed on the screen. They can be viewed in Excel, exported to Excel or CSV, and also emailed to you. There's been a lot of work around reporting in version 11, and some of those key enhancements include permission reports for functions and folders, site settings, audit trail report, user export report, and a list images report. Some of the key benefits with these report enhancements is all around making it easier for you to manage what users have access to on your site. Now you have a more granular view of your site's users and their security permissions, as well as their access levels. It also helps simplify the process of monitoring and reporting on your site, so you can easily keep track of any changes to settings on the site. So those are some of the reports we've done enhancements to and added. Keep in mind, we can always look at other projects with you and work in customizing and custom developing certain reports for you. Corporate Directory is a module that's been in Elcom for a while, and in version 11 has had a huge update and enhancement. So for those that aren't familiar with Corporate Directory, what is Corporate Directory? It's a module and element that lets you search, filter, and browse the staff directory or organizations within global site search results. It also has organizational charts and can integrate with Active Directory, making it easy for you to sync users and export those results. There's been a huge amount of work to Corporate Directory in version 11. So what's new, you might be asking? So in version 11, we've added the ability to build up a library of Corporate Directory templates. You can use the templates to change the display of all Corporate Directory elements and charts anywhere on the site. And it supports all user tags and also supports custom user tags for external fields. There's also a new organization chart element that you can drop anywhere on the site and additional configuration options for the organization chart. There's also the ability to specifically exclude users and/or groups from the search results. So if you do have some users that are in your Corporate Directory and you don't want them to show in a search result, there's the ability to configure that as well. And you've got the ability to configure the fields for keyword searching, making it really easy for users to search Corporate Directory. There are many benefits to these enhancements, and I won't go through them all, but I will touch on a few of the key ones to highlight today. So it's a lot more configurable and flexible for your needs. So there's no custom development that's required if you want to change the display of your staff directory, add new fields to display in the directory, change the display of the organization charts, or crawl additional fields for your directory search. So you have control to display information the way that you want in Corporate Directory. There's also the ability to view the org charts anywhere in the site. So historically, you have to look at them inside Corporate Directory. Now they're in Elements, and there's a lot more flexibility. Scorm Manager is another module in Elcom that's had an enhancement in version 11. For those that aren't familiar with what Scorm is, basically the Scorm Manager module connector enables you to import and manage Scorm compliant e-learning packages. So Scorm interactive elements such as next buttons, quizzes, hotspots, drag and drop, those can all function in Elcom with our Scorm Manager. In version 11, we've upgraded to the newer version of Scorm, and we've also improved reporting for tin can enabled Scorm packages. Some of the key benefits around the Scorm enhancements are the detailed reporting of all user interaction for a tin can enabled Scorm package, and obviously the access to the latest version of Scorm. In version 11, we've done some great work around SAML authentication. For those that aren't familiar with SAML, what is SAML? SAML is an identity management provider that helps companies manage their employees' passwords by providing a single sign-on experience. So those that might be familiar with Active Directory integration and single sign-on, very similar concept there. What's new in version 11? We've extended our SAML identity providers to seamlessly integrate with the Okta Identity Cloud. It's a lot easier to configure now, and it's also a configurable user field mapping. For those that aren't familiar, Okta is an identity management provider company. So they've enabled users to manage those passwords and provide the single sign-on. So it is just another identity provider there. And we're supporting the single sign-on, multi-factor authentication, lifecycle management, provisioning, and a lot more. So there's been a lot of work around SAML in version 11. Some of the key benefits. So firstly, it's easier to configure. You're able to map exact fields for user creation, and the Okta connects through the Okta API, and that'll enable the Elcom CMS to bulk import users from the Okta database, have periodic updates of user records, including the ability to auto-create new users, and automatically deactivate or delete or deprovision users. In version 11, we've also enhanced our login elements. This is a nice little feature add-on, just a pretty cool thing to discuss or talk about. So the login element allows users with valid credentials to log into the site. And in version 11, all we've added to this is the ability to show or hide password functionality. And the key reason for doing this was requests from clients. And it's all focused around helping users enter their password correctly, especially when they're logging in from mobile devices. So you might come across some sites where when you type in your password, it lets you quickly show the password to confirm you've typed it in correctly, just so that you don't hit login, then it tells you got a letter wrong or something, and you have to do it again. So we've enhanced the login elements in Elcom, and we've now made that available. In version 11, there's also been some great work around the dynamic widget library, and it's a new feature we're launching in version 11. So dynamic widgets, they've been around for a long time. You'd be familiar with those for existing Elcom users, but now we're launching and adding the dynamic widget library. So what is the dynamic widget library? It's essentially an aggregate and display. It enables you to aggregate and display content fast with dynamic widgets. So the widget library lets you manage all your widgets on your site from one interface. Historically, you would have to go to different articles and areas of the site to see the different widgets you have. The library brings that all together. And the nice thing is it's in one central place. So from an administration perspective or a management perspective, it's that one-stop shop, that one place you go, and you can have a look at all the different widgets available on the site that you've created over time. There's some great questions coming through, so please feel free to keep asking the questions, and we'll do our best to answer them towards the end of the webinar after the demo. The acknowledgement module is a module we're really excited about. Historically, we've had acknowledgements, but in Elcom version 11, we've really enhanced that and taken that to the next level. So acknowledgements require an end user to explicitly give their permission in order to continue interacting with the site. There are use cases and scenarios for this on a public-facing website and also in Intranet, or a digital workplace or a portal. I'm going to run through a few that sit on all those different areas over there. And depending on how you're using Elcom will depend on which is more relevant to your specific scenario. So what's new in version 11? So to address the need for compliance, Elcom's enhanced its current compliance module to now cater for users to opt into all non-essential cookies. So that's a reflection or an influence from the new GDPR laws that came into play. The functionality has been built so as to allow a message to display the first time a user hits the site, and the message will ask the user for their consent. Once that's checked, the message will not display again for this user. The functionality has been developed with the ability to request that a user has read or accepted or acknowledged terms and conditions, an Elcom article or compliance message before they continue onto the site. And it's got the smarts to target a certain audience with this request. I think that's a real key one around intranets and digital workplaces and portals when you have an idea of who the users are. So there are many key benefits. Some of those to talk about. Acknowledgement makes it easy for visitors to consent to you using their data, and that complies with the European Union law, GDPR, that I mentioned. It helps members, suppliers, and other external audiences meet compliance needs. The actions required can be targeted at groups and teams. If you do have a certain compliance message or action notification or acknowledgement you need to send out to a certain department, team, location, whatever it might be, you can target it to those. And there's fantastic reporting with the acknowledgement module as well. So you can report on what's been sent out and who's actually acknowledged or hasn't acknowledged the specific notification. We're also launching in version 11 two-factor authentication, and we're really excited about enhancing and adding two-factor authentication to Elcom version 11. It's also been a requirement that's been asked for by many clients around the world, and we're really excited to be launching that in version 11. What is two-factor authentication? Two-factor authentication is a type or a subset of multi-factor authentication, and so it's a method of confirming the user's identities and who they're claiming to be by a combination of different methods, and we've launched two-factor authentication with 2 different factors. So in version 11, we've introduced two-factor authentication in our base login page, and it works as follows. There are QR codes for use with an authentication app, and this will generate a single-use, time-sensitive authenticator code for input when logging in. There are backup codes for when the user's phone is not available, and there's the ability to define a 4-digit PIN number for logging into the site. Two-factor authentication can be turned on or off, and there's no overrides available if it is turned on from a security perspective. It also allows administrators to reset the user's QR code. And so there are many benefits to having two-factor authentication with your site. It adds that extra layer of security for both the user and the site owner. It's also become an acceptable industry standard today. So asking users to log in with two-factor authentication is pretty consistent, pretty normal. Nobody will really mind. And it is an element we've created, and you can enable that by the global site settings. Moving on to forms and workflow, and one of my personal favorite modules and features in Elcom. So forms and workflow, that for those that aren't familiar, the forms give you the ability to very quickly and easily create forms and capture data. And the workflows let you implement a comprehensive order process for approval of the forms. In version 11, there have been a range of enhancements. Firstly, we've added a digital signature field to a form, so someone can jump in and digitally sign the form. We've also added multiple columns, so you can jump in and create 1, 2, 3 column forms without having to know any CSS. We adhere to PCI compliance with credit card payments and forms. We also created the ability to reopen a form after it's been created in workflow. And there's the ability to transfer the approval of a workflow to another person. So forms and workflow are now more flexible than ever for publishers in Elcom. We're handling digital signatures. We can let you easily create those multi-column forms without requiring any services or any technical knowledge. You can easily accept payments in forms that adhere to PCI compliance. And it's a much smoother workflow approval process if staff are not available or a staff member leaves and you need to reassign items that are sitting in their basket. In version 11, we also upgraded to a new version of the Mce Editor. Mce is a premium rich text editor, and it provides a range of features to enable online editing experience, and it's a bit more of an enhanced experience to your standard editing tools. So we've upgraded to version 4.7. There's a better mobile UI, image caption option, media embeds and code snippets, and there's also the ability to automatically call the accessibility check when you're publishing content. So the Mce Editor is typically used by organizations that have a real focus on accessibility and compliance. Key benefits: it ensures that your website, or your intranet, or your portal is meeting accessibility standards, and it also doesn't rely on your publishers, your users, to remember to check the accessibility. And the new version, it will automatically check the accessibility. In version 11, we're also excited to announce that we've launched integration to Vimeo, another request from many, many clients. Vimeo is a popular video sharing platform, and it is essentially an ability for users to host, distribute, and monetize videos. And there's been a lot of requests for us to add specific integration to Vimeo from lots of clients, and we're really excited to announce that it is now available in Elcom version 11. Vimeo provides you with an alternative, and some might say a more secure and commercially recognized option to YouTube to embed videos. And with the new connector, it makes it really easy to drop and embed those videos on your site. In Elcom version 11, there's also been a lot of work around search refinements. What are search refinements? Refinements allow users to refine the search results on your site in a meaningful way so they can quickly find the results they're looking for. What's new in version 11? So there's been a lot of enhancements in version 11. Specifically, or historically, refinements were only available with one taxonomy item at a time. In version 11, you can now allow refinement on multiple taxonomies, and you can allow the user to change the sort order of the results. So there's lots of benefits to that. Finding the right information fast is much easier than ever before for the audience, and it's really going to give the visitors or the users a much better experience with the search. And that's going to lead to a better customer experience, user experience, and employee engagement experience in Elcom. In version 11, we also enhanced publishing capabilities. So for those that aren't familiar, publishing in Elcom is the ability to create articles and pages with the built-in content editor within an intuitive mobile Microsoft Word-like environment. In version 11, we've updated the look and feel of the administration area, the ability to drop a feature-rich folder tree element into your articles. You can bulk drag and drop, and there's improved usability for folders as well. There are many key benefits. Real big benefits in version 11 now is how administrators can actually manage content for publishers. So showing publishers only a subset of the folders that are relevant to them to avoid confusion, quickly moving content between folders, and ensuring that documents are uploaded into the right folder. We've also enhanced Events Manager. So for those that aren't familiar with Events Manager, it's a complete event management system for organizing public or private events in Elcom. And it supports attendance limits, credit card payments, group bookings, alerts, SMS reminders, and more. So it's a really powerful module. In version 11, we've configured a user-friendly URL for an event to make that a lot easier to create and manage. Also set up registration to allow attendees to purchase things like food options or information packs when they register. So there's the ability to register for an event and sign up or purchase additional items. And we've also set up the registration to allow attendees to purchase multiple ticketing or pricing options. Some of the key benefits, so the additional flexibility in how you manage events online by offering additional options on the registration form, so it's a much more powerful registration process. The ability to use user-friendly URLs, and that's going to make it a lot easier for you to promote your events, for people to remember, add the event to marketing materials, and if you are using the events on a website, to improve your SEO. So there's been a lot of enhancements to events as well. So that's a high-level overview of some of the new features, functionality, and enhancements in version 11. And I'm now going to hand over to Tracy to run you through the demo, and you can see everything in action. And then following from the demo, we will run through a Q&A session.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to kick off by looking at the corporate directory. So in version 11, you've now got more flexibility and display options. We've given you the ability to display your directory how you want and with the specific fields you want, depending on where you are in the site. And all this, as Josh mentioned, without needing any custom backend development. And you do this with a series of templates. So I'm going to jump into the admin area and take you to a new function where you can see I have added some templates for the corporate directory. So our product will ship with some example templates, which are very easy to edit and add and remove fields. What is a template? It's basically just a combination of HTML as well as user tags. If you're familiar with publishing, you'll know what tags are. And there is a tag for every single user field that we have in the product. And at the bottom is a list of all those tags that you can select. So you can pretty much build up a series of templates to display any type of information about a user that you want. So you could do things like adding the user's unit and department field to your corporate directory search results page, or let's say the marketing team wants their department's directory to display as tiles. but the HR department wants their directory to display in a listing format that shows each user's manager. In version 11, you can now do all of that. So let me jump into the front end of the site, and I'll show you how we're using all these corporate directory elements and templates to change the display across the site. This is the corporate directory search. You can see here we've styled it as tiles, and we're displaying the fields that we've decided are important, like the title, email address, phone number, etc. If you click on Bill Smith, then you'll see the details for Bill Smith, and that is also controlled by a template and the fields you want to expose there. So we put the important fields as well as Bill's user profile. If I jump into various departments in the site, so I'm going to jump into sales. What we've done on the sales and the various departments is we've added a whole lot of corporate directory elements. This is a corporate directory refining element. This is a corporate directory people element. And then what we've done is we've dropped the new article element for organization chart into the article. So at any point you can see who's in the department. You can search for a person. For example, I want to search for Oliver, and that will return all the Olivers in the department. And then you can also see the organization chart of who reports to who in this specific department. If you went into the IT department or the marketing department, you'd see the relevant people in those departments. What I've also done is set up on the About Us page the organization chart for the entire company. So here you can see who's in the management team. That's another corporate directory element. And here is the organization chart for the whole company. Now, you can see different fields displaying. I've just decided to display the date of birth. And if you click the little pop-up, that's also controlled with the template, and that will show you the telephone number, and you can click to view the profile for Bill or any of the employees in the chart. We've added a whole lot of configuration options as well for the organization chart. You can decide to display it vertically or horizontally. You can skin it in a different way. You can also start it off by being in a collapsed format. So if you have a very big organization chart that's too big to display on a page, you can start it off as collapsed, and employees can drill down to find the relevant person they want to find. You can also use your zoom, your mouse, to zoom in and out and make it smaller and bigger to make it easier to read. Plus, there's a little neat function which we've added, which is search. So I'm going to collapse this one. And I know I'm looking for Kevin. So if you search for Kevin, select Kevin, it'll zoom straight into Kevin's card. And from there, you can actually drill up and down, so to be able to see who Kevin reports to, and if Kevin had any people reporting to him, it would show that as well. So a lot of flexibility and a lot of improvements in our corporate directory. Okay, moving on to the Acknowledgement module. So I'm going to show you how the Acknowledgments module can be used to request the user to acknowledge that they've read something. So you can do something like get a user to accept terms and conditions on a site, and then they can only continue if it's been accepted. They can accept that they've read a confidentiality agreement when they enter a certain area of the site. You can even broadcast just an information message on the home page. For example, we've got a fire drill today, but only 4 employees in the head office. Once the message displays and the user acknowledges, it won't display again to the user. So back to the admin area, we've got a new acknowledgements area, and I'm going to show you our Acknowledgments Library, which is a place to manage all your acknowledgements in one port of call. An acknowledgement is just an element you drop into an article, and you can decide where you want that displayed. You can also decide how you want that displayed, and I'll show you that in a few minutes. And you can target a specific audience. You can even embed it into a master page if you want to. So I've set up for today's demo 3 types of acknowledgements. I've got a confidentiality agreement that I want everyone in my company to read. I also have a message about training that I want everyone to read, but I only want them to read it when they go to the training area of the site. I then have a travel expenses acknowledgement as well, but that is only applicable to everyone in my management team. So if you're not in the management team, I don't want you to see it. I jump into the front end of the site. I'm going to go to the home page, and I'll show you the acknowledgements in action. If you look down here, there's a little My Acknowledgement stream, which is again another article element. You can drop into an article, and that's going to show me everything I have to acknowledge today. You can also use a tag to alert the user and style it how you want to show the user that they've currently got two items that they need to acknowledge. The travel expenses is displaying because this user, or I'm logged in as Lilia, is part of the management team. So let me show you the different ways you can get those acknowledgements to display. The travel expenses has been set up to display as a light box, so it gives you the piece of information. You have to read it, click to understand, and it won't let you continue in that area of the site until you click that you have understood. You can also then configure it to display a message to the user to say thank you for reviewing. The Confidentiality Agreement is simply styled to be a button at the bottom of the content where the user is meant to read through the content, agree that they've read and understood the Confidentiality Agreement, and every time the user clicks the button, it gets saved in the database for reporting purposes. Now I'll just show you the training area, and I only wanted this acknowledgement to be shown when the user is in the training area of the site. So I'm just telling the user that until further notice, all training sessions being postponed, and I've done it as a little banner ad that displays at the bottom of the site. That would be similar to any website that you go to where you have to accept cookies. It can show banner ad at the top or the bottom. You click got it, and it disappears, and it won't show the user again. So back to the Acknowledgments Library then, just to show you in one place, what you can do is you can, from a publishing point of view, copy the acknowledgement element. You can edit it, you can delete it, but you can also jump from here straight into reporting. So at any time you can report on which users have acknowledged, which haven't acknowledged for a specific element between certain dates, specific users or groups of users, basically slicing and dicing the information any way you want to do to get the information that you want. Okay, so moving on to reporting. We've added some new reports in version 11. And I'm going to go to the reporting dashboard. If you want to view which folders a user has permission to, we have a new report called the User Folder Permissions Report. User Folder Permissions Report. And I'm going to select it for a certain user. I'm going to select Lilia. If I view that on the screen, what it's going to show me is the type of access that Lilia has to every single folder across the site. It's a nice way to have a global view of access for a particular user or group of users. So you can also run this report at the group level. If you want to view which admin functions a user has permission to, then we have a new User Function Permissions report. I'm going to select the same user. And what that's going to show is Lilia's access to every single admin function available on the site. Also a nice high-level overall view of what Lilia has access to. As Josh mentioned, we have a new Site Settings Audit Trail report, which is going to show you who modified settings, what the old value was, and what the new value was. Nice way to keep track of who is changing what on that page, because it can sometimes really affect things in a major way when they get modified. While we're on reports, I'll just show you that we've added for Scorm Manager, TIN-CAM compliant packages, some new reports. So in previous releases, you could only do some very basic reporting. You could only see at a high level that someone had started a package and ended it. What you can do now, if a package is TIN-CAN enabled, You can now see what they have answered, when they started, when they ended the package, all the answers given, and you can also report on their scoring. So for example, I have a golf package. If I view that on the screen, I can see all the interaction that has taken place for that particular package, for a particular user, or for all users. I'm going to quickly mention other reports that we've built in, but I'm not going to demo them. We've got a list images report, which can show you all images on the site or images in a particular folder. We also have a user export, which can extract users into a spreadsheet, which you can then use to import into another Elcom deployment in the exact same format. Okay, moving on to Vimeo. You've got now the ability to upload a video by simply entering a Vimeo URL. You can view Vimeo videos in widgets, in search results, and you can even view them in content. So for example, if I go to the About Us page, you'll see I've uploaded a video from Vimeo, and I've embedded that to display in my site. You can also surface them, as I mentioned, in widgets. So I have a media widget here. And what I want to do now is add a new Vimeo video to that widget. So I'm going to go to my document library. I'm going to upload a document into my media folder. You select external URL, and works very similar to how we built the YouTube URL, YouTube connector. You select Vimeo URL. I have a freight video from Vimeo, and I'm going to copy that link and paste it and fetch Vimeo data, which will populate as much metadata as we can get from Vimeo into the site. I click Add. That'll upload the document into the document library, and if I refresh that widget, you'll see my freight video there, which I can play, and it will play on your site for you. Okay, moving on to forms and workflow, I'm going to show you two forms. The first is a very simple Contact Us form, which is a straightforward one-column form. Now, what I want to do is show you how you can easily change that to a 2- or 3-column form. I'm going to edit the form. I'm going to change it from 1 column to 2 columns. Asks me to confirm, and you'll see miraculously the form and all the fields turn into 2 columns. You've got the options of 1, 2, or 3 columns. I'm going to reset that back to 1 because what I want to do for my form now is add an address panel, but I'd like the address panel to be 2 columns and leave the basic form as 1 column. So I'm going to add a new panel. I'm going to edit my panel, call it address. I'm going to override the default for the form and change it to 2 columns. And then I'm going to drop a field into the panel. Drop another field in, and you can see it start building up as a 2-column format. You can do the same thing at the field level. So the field level within a panel will overwrite the setting for the panel. So a really easy way to do this without having to come to Elcom to ask us to build those complicated forms for you. I'm going to show you the other form, which is a quote request form. And that form has got our new signature field on it. So what you can do is you can type, draw your signature. I'm using my mouse now. If you were using a phone, you'd obviously go right on the screen and enter your signature. The other thing you can do is type it. So I'm going to enter my name, and that turns it into a signature format, which then gets saved as an image into the database. Now, it's configurable if you want the user to be able to type or draw. You can turn them both on as you hear now, as you see now, or you may just want the users to use their mouse and type the actual signature in. Moving on to workflow then. We've given you the ability to reassign or transfer the approval of an item in workflows to someone else. So for example, someone leaves the company or they're away on sick leave and a form needs to be approved urgently. I'm going to jump into the admin area of the site and see all the items in workflow. And I have an in-progress item. I have an in-progress item. Let me go here, that will make it a little bit easier. Right, I have my quote request, an in-progress item assigned to John Smith. Let's say John Smith is sick on the day. I'm going to reassign the approval to someone else involved in the workflow, and I'm going to select Amy Adams, click to reassign, and you'll see Amy is now the basket owner, and that item will appear in her inbox. We've also given you the ability to reopen a leave form because maybe there was an error with your leave date, or maybe you approved an article and then you saw there was a small spelling mistake that you quickly want to fix. So if I look at completed items, I'm going to select this completed item and I'm going to reopen it in workflow, and it lets you reopen it into exactly where you want to, either the item's last completed basket, or you can actually start right at the beginning of the workflow item, which will then make it go through each of the steps for that particular workflow. So an easy way to reopen and use workflow in version 11. Okay, moving on to publishing, starting on with Tiny Mce Editor. So we've upgraded the editor and it has some new features that Josh mentioned, but for the demo, I want to focus on the change we made to automatically check accessibility without requiring the publisher to remember to click that check accessibility button. So I'm going to go to an article, which I'm going to edit. I'm going to make sure I'm using the Tiny Mce Editor because it's not my default editor. And what I'm going to do is I select some text, and I'm going to change the text color to be a very light color, which I know is not good for accessibility. I click publish, and then you can see my accessibility checker kicking in immediately, very similar to how Word will do a spell checker for you, and you can move from one accessibility issue to another. Close that down. While we are on publishing, I'll just move to the admin area and tell you that in release 11, what we've done is we've given it a new look and feel just to freshen up a bit. So you'll see a lot of the icons have changed, nice clean look about it. You can see over there a lot of the icons have changed. Nice enough to look fresh, but not such a big change that you'll require training in the admin area when you upgrade to version 11. We've also added some folder usability improvements. There were a lot of things that some clients kept asking, just little things that made life a lot difficult using the folder tree. We've added scrolling in to help you if you've got lots of content. So I'm going to example search for an article called API, which I know is very deep in the folder tree. I'm going to search for that. This is the article I want. And you'll see it automatically selects and scrolls right down to the article. In previous releases, you had to scroll down to find where your cursor was. We've built bulk drag and drop in, so at any time you can multi-select any number of articles and or folders and move them around to other folders in the tree. We've also improved the folder selector to help you if you've got a lot of folders that are called the same name. So I'm going to search for About Us because I have About Us in different areas of the site, and you'll see we've added little help here. So very quickly, easy to see which About Us folder you need without having to hover over each of the folders as you used to have to do in previous releases. The other thing we've done, and I'll just undo my changes to my article, is made it easier for publishers to manage all their content in the front end of the site. So what I've done on the My Publishing page is I've dropped an article element that is basically a folder tree of all the folders and content items that I have access to edit in the whole site. It's a similar tree to what you would see in the admin area, but using this element means you can push the publishers to publish on the front end of the site and not have to give them access to the admin area at all. The nice thing about this element is that you can see all articles, but you can also see all documents and images that live in the folders as well. Plus, you can expand each of the items to show their description, when they were created, the last published, who it's checked out to, as well as the thumbnail images. And depending on the user's access, they can start their editing from here. So if I right-click, you can see all the various functions that are available to me, adding, editing, deleting, uploading documents and images. You can also edit articles from here, and you can also edit images and documents. We've also added the bulk drag and drop here. So the nice thing about that is that at any point you can select a combination of images, documents, and articles and move them all at the same time to other areas of the site. Any change you make here will automatically reflect in the admin folders area once it's done. So the dynamic widget library, as Josh mentioned, is an easy way to manage all your widgets. Now, the widget library has actually been around for a long time, but there are not a lot of clients using it, and it's a very, very useful tool to manage your widgets if there are a lot of widgets on your site, all living in different areas of the site. We've enhanced the searching now, so it's a lot easier to find the article, the widget you are after. So the media widget I showed you before, let's search for media, and I'll show you the media widget turns up, and from there you can edit the widget, you can actually copy it to an existing article, create a new article, or copy within the same article if you wanted to. You can edit it or delete it as well. Okay, moving away from publishing onto search refinement. So you now have a new article element that you can link to the search that provides the ability for users to refine by multiple taxonomy, as well as change the sort order. So I'm going to search for power, and the search results that display, you can see on the left hand here my new element in action. You can change the sort order, so I might decide I want to show it alphabetically. You can see all my results displaying alphabetically. And then I want to start refining. I want to show all marketing items that are also research. You refine, and there are my search results showing me all marketing research items. Moving quickly on to events. Now, we've built two things into version 11. One is the user-friendly URL. So I'm going to select my discovery event and show you the user-friendly URL at the top, which is basically event / and then it would be the event name, the date, and the location of the event. Now, this is configurable. You can do the user-friendly URL however you want. However, our base product, the default is this format. If I click to register, it's the same URL. It just has, it's just asking me to confirm my password. Same URL with a register on the end. We've also added the concept of resources, which are additional options that are available selection when you register for an event. For example, food options, you may register for a breakfast seminar and then select what you want for breakfast. You want a coffee and 2 muffins, and then you pay for the breakfast. Or an education resource where a manager registers for an event. The event is free, but she also needs an education resource pack for each employee in her team, and she gets charged per pack. Or there's pricing options, as for example, I've set up in this event where you can select the type of tickets you want. So I want 2 general admission tickets, and then I'd like a 2-day pass and a full access pass, and you could see we just adjust the price accordingly. Okay, moving on to two-factor authentication. So as Josh mentioned, we've built in 2 types of two-factor in release 11. I'll jump into the global site settings area to show you where we turn that on. There's a login tab and the new two-factor authentication tab. So you turn it on here, and there's a few things you can set up, like the maximum number of attempts, the types of methods available, and if using a PIN code, the number of numeric characters that are required for that PIN. I'm going to show you two-factor in action. I'm going to log in as Amy, a user who has an account already set up, but I've never logged in before. And while we're on the login page, I'll quickly show you the show hide button that Josh was referring to, where you can easily see the password in clear text. I'm going to log in as Amy. It's asking me which two-factor method I want. For the purposes of the demo, I'm only going to demo the PIN number for security reasons. So I'm going to select to use the PIN number. I'm going to choose a PIN code, save it, and complete the login process. And there you go, I'm logged in as Amy. The next time Amy logs in, it will ask her to enter her PIN code again. So I'm going to log in as Amy. Click login. Ask me to enter my code. And logs me in. At any time, Amy can go into her profile, and there's a new two-factor authentication tab where she can change the PIN code if she wants to. Okay, last thing on the list is SAML and Okta. So in release 11, we've extended our SAML identity providers to seamlessly integrate with Okta Identity Cloud. You can pre-populate the user database in Elcom with Okta. You can also know that a user's been deprovisioned with Okta. And in addition, we've moved to more of an industry standard in terms of identity provider configurations. So we've made it a lot easier to configure providers in the product. I'll just switch to the admin area and show you an example of how to set up an Okta provider. The identity providers, most of them share the same common settings, so very easy to create and set up a provider in our product. And I'll also just show you what we've built in is configurable field mapping. So also very easy for you to configure which field from Okta or the SAML provider equates to a particular field in Elcom. Basically ensuring that you get the correct data in the correct field when the user gets to your site. I'll show you quickly what it looks like when a user logs in with Okta. So because I've turned on Okta, I get the option at the bottom. It'll take me to Okta. I'll enter my credentials. Password. Sign in, and that will take me back to my site, and you can see I'm logged in as Bob. Okay, so that's the end of today's demo. I'm going to hand you back to Josh now.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Tracy, and really exciting to see the different features and functionality and enhancements in version 11 in action. So thank you for the awesome demo, and I hope everyone's really excited about seeing how everything is actually used in a contextual world or environment. All right, so to wrap up our webinar today, we're going to jump into some questions. There's been a lot of questions that have come through during the webinar, which is fantastic. So we're going to jump into the questions. Feel free to ask as many questions as you want in the panel, and we will work through those. As mentioned, we'll do our best to get through as many as possible, and if we aren't able to answer them all, we'll come back to you individually afterwards. Okay, so probably the first question to ask, can two-factor authentication be turned on for mobile users and turned off for on-network users?
Yes, so two-factor does not work together with any SAML type of login or Active Directory. So what you could do is turn two-factor on, and then users that are automatically logged into your network via Active Directory, SAML, or Okta, they won't need to use two-factor, whereas people using a mobile phone logging in by entering their credentials in your site, they would have to use the two-factor process. So yes, it is possible to do that.
Okay, perfect. Another one, is Scorm and SAML additional add-ons? So yes, they are. So if you're using Elcom and you're an existing Elcom customer and user, yes, the Scorm connector and SAML connector are additional add-ons. So if you do want to add those to your subscription and license, please speak with your account manager, and they'll be able to provide more information about that. Another one, does bulk drag and drop work for uploaded documents?
Yeah, so using that new content element that I showed you in the My Publishing, you can select documents, a combination of documents and images, and bulk drag and drop those documents into another folder. So no need to do it one by one anymore. You can now do a bulk move, which will really help with publishing and moving things around.
It'll definitely make users' lives a lot easier, which is good. The next one over here, does the org chart pick up details from Active Directory, or where are they coming from?
Yes, so if you're using the AD connector, it's going to pick up all the information from Active Directory. Yes, and if you're using SAML, it will pick up whichever information came from SAML.
Okay, perfect. Another one, is the acknowledgements feature available in base Elcom or an additional module? That is something we've relaunched or launched as a new module. So yeah, that is an add-on module that you can add at any time to your license and subscription as well. Another question, if we already have corporate directories, do we get the enhancements and additional features when we upgrade?
Yes, so if you have the corporate directory module, you automatically get access to all the new functionality, the templates, etc., that we've built into version 11.
All right, fantastic. I'm just trying to go through some of these other ones. One over here, can we create new custom SAML Okta fields, for example, suburb?
Yes, you can. So in those field mappings that I showed you, we've set up some basic mappings, but you can add any additional mappings that you want to and map any SAML field to a field in the Elcom user database.
Okay, great. Another one here with site search. So version 11 crawls document titles and content, and is it different to version 10.5? And what's the difference between a search with version 10.5 and version 11?
So the search is exactly the same. 10.5 crawls the titles and the content, and 11 does exactly the same thing.
Perfect. Okay, I'll wrap up. Probably two more we'll wrap up with. Another question which I asked a couple times, so is version 11 available and how do we upgrade? Yes, so version 11 is available right now. So if you're ready to upgrade and jump on board, we can definitely help you with that. How do you upgrade? Please get in touch with us, get in touch with your account manager or who you're working with, and they'll be able to talk you through the upgrade process and get you upgraded onto Elcom version 11. So that is the end of today's webinar. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us and for your time. It's really exciting to see the questions, the enthusiasm, and the interest in Elcom version 11. A big thank you to Tracy and the whole development team for the awesome work they've done in Elcom version 11. And we're really excited for you, our global customer base, to be able to upgrade to version 11 and start taking advantages of the features and functionality right now. So on behalf of the Elcom team, thank you very much for your ongoing support and engagement with the platform and your enthusiasm in version 11. And we look forward to working with you a lot closer. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.